I need you to be quiet, please. Good morning, everyone. I am here with the lovely Cheryl Armstrong, who is the founder and owner of Plant Your Energy, with over 15 years of experience helping currently and formerly incarcerated individuals to change their thinking and transform their character. During her 26 years of incarceration, Cheryl earned an MA in humanities, launched Plant Your Energy, and wrote her first book, Plant Your Energy, Face Your Demons and Transform Your Life. She published her book shortly after her release in 2021 and created a class from it. She is now teaching in Colorado prisons. Her goal is to expand the program in prisons across the country, helping people to create lasting change in their lives. Cheryl believes no one is their worst mistake. She currently lives in Arizona and is working to build Plant Your Energy so she can play a part in changing people's lives for the better. Cheryl will be speaking to us about Plant Your Energy. So thank you for being here, Cheryl.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome. So first, tell us a little bit about what led you to the path that you're on.
Right. So, to make a long story short, when I was 16 years old, I was the getaway driver in a crime that took the lives of two people. I was charged as an adult. Ultimately, I was sentenced to 96 years in prison. And so it was a long journey, right, to say the least. And for a number of years, I was filled with nothing but anger and guilt and shame, regret over my poor choices, and just trying to wrap my young mind around the fact that I had destroyed not only my life, but the lives of other people. So it was a lot to carry on my shoulders, and I really didn't know what to do with that for a long time. And the further I got into my sentence, the more I couldn't stand being in my own skin anymore. I didn't want to live the rest of my life waking up a miserable person every day. And so I started taking college classes. I ended up getting my master's degree in there. I trained dogs for a number of years. I just started doing everything that I could inside to work on myself and be a better person. And I realized that, the quality of my thoughts determined the quality of my reality. And so I could either choose to wake up and live my life happy or wake up and be miserable. And when I realized that it didn't matter if I was incarcerated or not, I still got to choose how I felt every day. It was life transforming for me. And so from there, I started helping to teach other classes in prison. And then I wrote my book. My goal was to write my book before I was released. I technically should have been incarcerated for at least another 13 years longer than I was before I could even ask for a shot to get out. The laws changed for juveniles who had been convicted as adults. And so Colorado created a 3-year program for juveniles convicted as adults. And upon successful completion of that, I was able to ask for early release. And that is how I got out in 2021. I created Plant Your Energy in 2017. Basically, it started out as just an idea. It's kind of a mindset where you live your life with intention. And I think that a lot of times we just kind of coast through and go through the motions, and we forget that every single thought that we're thinking and action that we're taking has a ripple effect for what we're creating next in our lives. And so I wanted to start teaching people about mindfulness and how important it is to be aware of what you're creating for your life.
Okay. Yeah, I can imagine what all those years were like. but the fact that you were able to turn your thinking process around for the good of you and the good of others, and actually dedicate your life to helping people come out of that space or be more mindful or aware of where they are, and hopefully they can change their lives as well. So it's really awesome that you've been able to do that and take that to help others. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
So tell us more about Plant Your Energy.
So basically, the focus of the business has now been based around my book and the class that I've created from it. So the book there's a lot to it. I've turned it into a 7-week class. I wrote a workbook that accompanies the book. And the first couple weeks of the class are really challenging because we're looking at what are your demons? What are the things in your life, whether it be emotional, things like anger, guilt, shame, childhood trauma, maybe a mistake you've made that is holding you back from believing you can live your best life. Maybe it's addiction, toxic relationships. It looks different for everybody. But we start the class by figuring out what each person's demons are in their life and then bringing those to the surface, which is painful work. And from there, we take accountability for those things, right? Because no matter whether something has been done to you or by you, ultimately, we are responsible for the way that we choose to deal with those issues in our lives and where we go from there. And so I talk a lot about you need to take responsibility for the things in your life, whether even if somebody did something to you, you are responsible for how you proceed. Are you going to allow that to rule your life, or are you going to take your power back from the circumstance by saying, hey, I'm not going to let this control me for the rest of my life? So then from there, we talk about getting rid of justifications. Stop making excuses for why you don't have the life that you want or for why this is, happening to you. Basically, it's just getting real with yourself, right? No more excuses, no more justifications. This is who I am. This is who I've chosen to be, but now I want to change that. And so from there, I introduced the power of choice. So when I was in my journey of transformation, I think that one of the most powerful life lessons that I learned was we have the unique capability as human beings to choose every thought that we put into our mind. We get to choose how we react to something. And so I teach people different tools that I used in my own life, and they may or may not work for people. Different tools work for different individuals. And so we explore a lot of different ways that we can recognize what are our paradigms? How are we thinking about the things that are in our lives? And is that thinking based on what we truly believe? Or is it thinking based off of things that other people think? Political groups, families, right? Cultural influences. And so I encourage people to really develop their own thinking. What are your principles? What are your values? How can you start living your life and really staying true to what it is that you believe in, not what other people want for you? And so that's all about reprogramming your mind, right? We look at triggers. What are the things that trigger you? How can we catch those triggers before we react on them so we can change behavior patterns? And so everything is just kind of building from the last thing, and they're all interconnected. When we're trying to develop a new mindset, I talk about gratitude a lot. So gratitude is it's a big deal, right? Everybody talks about the power of gratitude, how it transforms your life. So I didn't get that for a long time, and I had to kind of force myself to practice gratitude, not truly believing in what it could do for me. And then I started to kind of see the way that it was transforming my mentality. And so I help people to look for the little things. I always say the little things are the big things, and how gratitude is so transforming when you're trying to kind of level up or maybe change even just how you're thinking, from moment to moment. Uh, I ask people, what is your why? I think that it's really important that people tap into, what are your biggest dreams? Why do you think that you can't achieve it, right? A lot of people just kind of settle in their lives, and they get a job that pays the bills. They get distracted, right? They have kids, family members, things are happening, and a lot of people don't end up really pursuing the kind of life that they had dreamed that they could have for themselves. And so I think that everybody deserves to live their best life. And so I try to help people figure out, well, what kind of changes can I make? What can I do right now to take a step that's going to get me closer to my best life and to the best version of myself? And so a lot of that comes with setting boundaries, having healthy boundaries in your life, finding what tools work for you, raising your standards for yourself, not settling for things that aren't going to be productive for you and help move you forward to where you want to be. And then self-correcting. So there are different ways to self-correct. For me, the biggest one was self-talk. And so we go into a lot of that, and just different ways that you can kind of check yourself when you're thinking something negative or you're going back into an old thinking pattern, how to kind of stop in your tracks, reset, and think about something that's more productive for you. I talk about blooming where you're planted. As someone who was sitting in a prison cell for 26 years, I learned how to do that. I learned how to bloom where I was planted. I decided it didn't matter if I was incarcerated. I still wanted to get an education. I still wanted to be a writer, and I still wanted to help people. And so I find ways to bring my dreams to life no matter what my circumstances are. And so I encourage other people to really figure out how they can do the same types of things. Um, Living with integrity, that's another important thing too. And so I always ask people, what does that look like for you? How are you living your life with integrity? How are you treating other people? How are you treating yourself? And so really the class is just an evaluation and kind of a deep dive into all of the internal stuff that's going on within us, and sorting through that, hopefully getting rid of a lot of the pieces that we don't like, but doing it without avoiding them, because I feel like that's what a lot of people do. They just avoid those character traits they don't like. They don't really deal with them. So my program kind of pushes you in the direction like, hey, we're bringing this to the surface and we're going to deal with this head on. And we're going to figure out together how we get through that to get to the other side of it, to where you feel like you've had some true healing and you can be a better version of yourself and have a better life moving forward.
There's a lot of content there.
Yeah, a lot. It's a lot. And the things that I'm introducing in the class, they're not some groundbreaking new idea that's never been introduced before. But as a person who was incarcerated for so long and still managed to really turn their life around, I kind of bring a different perspective to the table. And I just tell people, if I can do it, anyone can do it. I was in the worst of circumstances and I still created all these things for my life. And
Mhm.
I want that for other people too. I want everyone to know that no one is the worst thing that they have done, and that you can always come back from your mistakes. It's all about the choices you make moving forward.
Absolutely. Totally agree with you on many levels. So what do you want people to learn from what you're teaching?
Ooh, that's a big question, because like you said, there's a lot of content that's in my program. And so what I want people to learn is what I just previously said. Like you're not all of the bad things that you believe about yourself. We can control the way that we view ourselves, and we can control what we create for ourselves. And so I want people to learn how to deal with their demons, right? That's the essence of my class. I want people to learn that no matter what they've been through, they can become something different than what they've always known or what they think they can be. You can transcend limitations, and you can do that by taking a really hard look at yourself, because it's not fun doing this work. Nobody enjoys going through these things, but it's essential. And developing the self-discipline is one of the actually bigger pieces of my class, because I truly believe that even if you work on all the things I've talked about, without the self-discipline to get up and practice those things every day, you're never going to be a success story, because you're going to fall back into whatever rut you were in. And so I really try to teach people, like, hey, these are ways that you can develop self-discipline. It's so essential in true growth and leveling up from where you've been.
Yeah, it sounds like it's a lot of great content, a great course, and a great book. So how can people reach out to you or get more information if they're interested?
So I have a website. It's plantyourenergy.life. I also have Facebook and Instagram accounts under Plant Your Energy. And I'm always trying to reach out and make new connections. So I welcome anyone to reach out and talk with me. And I am currently working on getting my class in more correctional facilities in the country. I'm looking at, Tennessee. I might have some options to get into community corrections in a few states. So I'm excited about what's going to come for the business this year. But, the ultimate goal is to really connect with people that are outside of the correctional world too, because the things that are in this book apply to people, not just people who've committed a crime. I think that everybody has things that they're dealing with and working through. And so my goal is to connect with, as many people from as many different walks of life as possible.
Mhm. Yeah, no, I totally agree. It's a strong message and strong lessons, and it's good for anybody, really. You know,
Mhm.
doesn't matter if you've been incarcerated or not, or, you know, maybe your life isn't going in the direction that you feel great about. It doesn't matter whether you've been punished or not,
Right.
right? It's just, is this the path that you want to go on for the rest of your life? And you can change that path,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Change before something happens where you're incarcerated. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, it's a strong message, and thank you for putting that together. And yeah, thank you for sharing with us, for being vulnerable. I know that part's probably not easy either. And for getting your message out there. So thank
Yeah.
you for being here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.